It's time to take a ride on the Steelers Afternoon Drive with our co-hosts, Alan Saunders and Zachary Smith.
Welcome into another Steelers Afternoon Drive. I'm Zachary Smith. That is Alan Saunders. Alan, how are we doing?
I'm good. Good. Little slow day here on a Monday. Little wish some stuff would happen. You know, we could really take like an Aaron Rodgers signing or something crazy like that. That'd be nice.
Certainly, from a content standpoint, that would mean we have mentioned how much of a content machine it would just be to have Aaron Rodgers on the team in general. But certainly him signing right about now would be great. Maybe like 15 minutes ago actually would have been ideal.
No, not 15 minutes. When stuff happens right before we record the podcast. Like just get it in at like 3. Get it in at like
Sorry,
3.
yeah, you're right. Because that would have delayed us quite a bit. We wouldn't be recording right now if that would have happened. So yeah, earlier today would have been good. So that could have been the topic of today's podcast.
Tomorrow at 3 is the next best time.
There we go. If you're listening out there, there you go. Something did happen right before we start recording that doesn't necessarily pertain to the Steelers, but it does pertain to a team within the division, so it does impact the Steelers. Justin Tucker, released by the Baltimore Ravens, when they selected a kicker in the NFL draft, kind of could feel like the writing was on the wall. They put out a statement, said it was strictly related to football, despite the allegations that are out there against Justin Tucker stemming last football season, where everything kind of spiraled there. But I mean, I don't know that because this literally just happened. I haven't even fully wrapped my mind around this. It's just odd to me that the next time that I watch the Baltimore Ravens play, Justin Tucker is not going to be kicking for them.
Yeah, I saw a lot of people who were surprised by this, and I'm like, but they drafted his replacement.
Yeah.
Like, what did you think was going to happen when he was accused by how many is it now? I've lost count. I think it's more than a dozen.
I was going to say, I thought it was 16 to 8. I don't know why 16 and 18 are the two numbers that are in my head.
Yeah. Massage therapists of inappropriate behavior. Then the team drafts a kicker. Oh, and by the way, stunk last year.
It's 16 massage therapists at 8 different spas.
Okay. I mean, that's the whole other part of this is that, look, man, for better or for worse in the NFL, you can get away with a lot when you're the guy. Yeah. But you do not get away with a lot if you are just okay. And Justin Tucker was just okay last year. I mean, I think this was coming for a while. I don't see any way around it. 22 of 30 on field goals last year. That's not going to get it done, regardless of what you do off the field. In another season like that, he's getting cut anyway. So, I think the Ravens are kind of calling this a football decision, and I say I smell a load of BS when I see it, but also they kind of have a point to make as well.
Yeah, his play gave them an out here to be able to say that.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think he probably could have, if he didn't have those, probably one more season been able to coast off his name recognition at the very least, and they would have seen if he would bounce back next season, in my opinion.
And then somebody else would have given him and then somebody else would have given him another shot after they cut him. Right now, do you think anybody's going to sign a 36-year-old kicker who made less than 75% of his kicks last year and has over a dozen 16 sexual impropriety allegations? Probably
I would think not.
Just probably the end of the road here.
Yeah. So the best kicker that wears number 9 remains in the AFC North, though, but one of them retires. Very thankful for Chris Boswell. Anyways, moving along here, Alan, I could talk about Chris Boswell.
How about kickers wearing 29? Because we got that from the Steelers today as well. The numbers for the rookie class and the undrafted free agent. Ben Saul's is number 29. Now, okay, he wore 90 in college, and we know he's not going to get that with the Steelers. More than fair. 29 for a kicker. I don't know. I don't know how.
I mean, I guess Sauls could have tried to get pull an Abdul Carter and ask TJ if he could have 90. I guess Abdul's trying to get the best numbers in franchise history. Lawrence Taylor asking him for 56. Phil Simms asking him for 11. That's a big talking point apparently within their media. Is dude, just pick a different number and make it your own.
Also, why are the Giants even entertaining the idea of letting him ask? If the Steelers sign Aaron Rodgers and he goes to the Steelers, can I ask Terry Bradshaw if I can wear 12? They're going to go, no. Pick a different number. Like, we don't give it out for a reason. Why are the Giants entertaining this? I don't understand. That's dumb.
That's true. They should be shutting it down before it even gets to the next step. But yeah, I know it's become a talking point there.
Although mad props if Ben Sauls should just put out an Instagram post and be like, I tried to buy 90 from TJ Watt, and he turned me down. Stone cold.
Yeah, get a big pop on social media for doing that at the very least. The one number we already had, we knew Derek Harmon was going to be wearing number 99. The team put that out like the second day of the draft, so a day after picking him. But Caleb Johnson wearing number 20, really like that for a couple reasons. One, I just think that's a good running back number. Two, from his first stint with the Steelers, everybody knows I was very vocal about not wanting him back. The very first stint with the Steelers, I had a Cam Sutton jersey, so bam, we can change that name plate out. All of a sudden, it's a Caleb Johnson jersey.
All right, we're doing that at some point this offseason. I did it this once before for a story, but I didn't do it on video. I just did it for the story. But you and me this offseason, we're going to get a couple of those like nameplate replacement kits, and we're going to see if we can fix up an old jersey. So if you got a Cam Sutton you want to donate to the cause, that'd be cool.
Okay. All right. Jack Sawyer sticking with 33. I thought we might see a change there, given the position he plays, but no. Jack Sawyer sticking with number 33 on the edge there. That's fine. Wyatt Black wearing 78. James Daniels wore that number last season.
78 for a defensive lineman is
I think more offensive lineman than defensive lineman for that number.
Dwight White, though, definitely the best 78 in Steelers history. Of course, he was an end, not a nose tackle, but that's the only one of these that I think looks that and the kicker wearing 29. But the Steelers have all the good numbers are taken on the Steelers defense. Like 90, like Harmon got the last number in the 90s. I don't know what else you want if you're a defensive lineman.
Yeah. Will Howard rocking 18, expected that. I'm not I don't know where you stand. I prefer single digits on quarterbacks. I think 18 is like fine. Obviously, Peyton Manning wore 18. That was Will Howard's college number and everything like that. But slightly lean single digits. I'm also a fan of 11, the way that looks. But typically, I lean single digit number.
18 is a good number. I have no problem with 18.
Carson Bruner rocking 44. Tyler Mitakevich wore that last year. Dante Kent wearing 34. Not the biggest fan of 34
and
either.
The other thing to remember is these guys can change their numbers when other guys get cut. So like you have some numbers that are like sort of held by, I mean, not to put anybody down, but like guys that probably aren't going to make the team. Julius Welshoff, who's here as the Steelers International Pathway Program player. Like we're all pretty sure that guy's headed to the practice squad, right? Well, he's got 45 locked down. Well, maybe Jack Sawyer really wanted 45 instead of 33, and now then he'll change his mind once players get cut.
Yeah, for sure. You mentioned 29. There's actually two 29s right now because Sebastian Castro also rocking it. The guy I think has the best shot out of the UDFAs to make the roster. So also Ben Sauls 29, Rock Taylor rocking 81. Pretty solid for a UDFA wide receiver, I would say, to be able to get 81 there. DJ Thomas Jones rocking 48. He's the hybrid, right? Tight end fullback.
Yeah. 48, not a good number, but if you got to give it to somebody, a fullback is good.
Aiden Williams 71, Keyshawn Williams 85. Am I missing one? Yeah, JJ. How's that last name pronounced?
Galbraith, I think it is.
Galbraith rocking 87.
It's perfectly fine.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. All fine except for 29 and 70.
But again, the other 29, I think, has a
Sebastian Castro. Also, though, I need to send you. I need to put this picture up here.
Okay.
I gotta figure out how to do that image file. Oh, there it is. The Steelers put the headshots up of the rookies as well. Sebastian Castro. Well, it's so far out of center. He looks like some kid snuck into the studio and like like what? Why is there this much room above his head in the picture? You'd think he's like 5'4" based on like it's like
We let our interns take pictures as if they're on the team.
Yeah, right. He's 5'11". He's a normal sized defensive back, guys. Don't be led astray by his official team picture.
Yeah, that's funny. All right, so yeah, good stuff there. We'll see how that shakes out if anybody changes. Kind of within that same thing, Alan, you put out a depth chart today, which tells me that we are getting closer and closer to the season. We got rookie stuff going on. What day does that start?
Friday. Friday's afternoon drive will come after a Pittsburgh Steelers practice. So there you go.
Man, love to hear that. Oh, also, wait, back to the number thing. Brandon Johnson switched right from 89 to 11. And then Robert Woods, I don't love this, 16, I think, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I can't say that I'm there with that one. But
16 is not a good number for anybody, but it's, except for Joe Montana, but it's really not a good number for a wide receiver.
I know. I mean, Brandon Johnson going to 11, like, I know 11 has not been good to Steelers wide receivers, but I like the number in general.
Steelers were just like, we cannot give another former Rams wide receiver number 11 in a row. Like
maybe that was it. Maybe that was it. So Brandon Johnson makes out on that.
Yeah, maybe.
Kind of coinciding with all the number stuff. Also, we get a depth chart. Alan, you took a crack at putting out a depth chart on the website. Aaron Rodgers not yet on this. Keep that in mind. What were some highlights within that, though?
Yeah, I think we've talked a little bit about the depth at the defensive line. I think putting it out there that way really kind of shows, after Hayward and Benton, you've got Harmon and Ekwale, and then this big group of, Y.A. Black, Dean Lowry, Logan Lee, Isaiah Loudermilk, DeMarvin Leal. How many of those guys are going to make the team? I don't know. That's too many. That's 9. Even Estezi Otomowo, you throw him in that mix. I wouldn't rule out him making the team. That'd be 10. You're keeping maybe 8, probably 7 of those guys. There's some tough cuts there.
I think another position is the off-ball linebackers, with Cole Holcomb's health, and then also selecting Carson Bruner makes that very interesting, especially with the way Mark Robinson played on special teams, really all season, but particularly at the end of the year, where it was just splash play after splash play, forcing a bunch of fumbles, though unfortunately, the ball luck wasn't on their side of things towards the end of the season last year. But I think that's a really interesting battle to me now looking at it. Not necessarily something I was thinking about a ton before that Carson Bruner pick, but then after they made it, thinking about the special teams ability that he has, and then seeing it on your depth chart here, there's 5-6 off-ball linebackers. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I think that's another good one. And then the depth at running back is there's 7 running backs on the roster right now. It just feels unnecessary. I don't know what you're going to do with all of them.
I forgot they added Evan Hall, former Colts. I actually really liked him coming out.
Warden Shamplin, who were I thought played pretty well last year when they were called upon. Patterson still around. I don't think he's going to make the team at this point, but we'll see.
I guess really no need to, if they haven't had that. I'm kind of surprised. I shouldn't say surprised. It wouldn't have surprised me if they had already moved on.
I agree with that. They also have not really needed the roster spots.
Yeah, that's true.
If that starts to change, then things could be different.
Talked about another spot where it's going to be interesting to me is in the slot corner. Obviously, they went out and got Brandon Echols. Beanie Bishop was a contributor last year, drafted Dante Kent in the 7th round. And then we talked about Sebastian Castro's ability as a safety that can also play the slot. So I'm curious as to, who ends up taking the stranglehold of snaps within that spot as well.
Yeah, don't rule out Jonathan Bledsoe either. He's played a couple games over the last 2 years with the Patriots. Was brought in on a future contract. He's not just a total camp body type either. I think he is an interesting player that could fit in that sort of multi-positional role as well.
He's a safety though, so that's right. He's another safety
I mean, I haven't listed at free safety, but like I think if he was going to play, it would be in the slot.
Okay. All right. Anything else within there we didn't touch on?
No, I mean, take a look at. I mean, this is obviously like a lot of projecting at this point in the calendar. Like normally, I feel like our depth charts are pretty good in terms of just like sort of combined what the team says, with what we see and hear and that kind of thing. But
other than the obvious one,
there's a lot of guesswork in there.
Other than the obvious one at quarterback, like I think we already had a good idea what the roster looked like, obviously, before you put it out in the depth chart. But like after doing this exercise, is there one spot that like glowingly you're like, or glaringly, I should say, like needs addressed?
I think the two areas that I see are on the offensive line. Like I just feel like this team does not have a sixth offensive lineman that they want to play. Maybe it's Spencer Anderson. He did play well when he had to play last year. Calvin Anderson, I don't know. Maybe Ryan McCall. Like I don't have anything against any of those guys, but it just
re-sign Max Sharping. Nothing inspiring.
Yeah, like there isn't a guy there where you're like, oh, like a Nate Herbig was the last couple of years, where if it's like, hey, that guy has to play, it's really no big deal. I don't think there's someone in that list you can say that about. And then the center specifically is very thin. It's just Frazier and McCollum. Sure, Sharpik can play there a little bit. Maybe they'll try Aiden Williams there. I don't know. But like we talked about the rookie camp tryouts and Dom Serapiglia from TJ Central Michigan, a little bit undersized. But like if you're looking at like who could win a roster spot at rookie camp, I think a center would be one for sure. Just based on there only being two really on the roster. And I would say that I think somebody else that can return kickoffs would be interesting as well. Like, is that like Rock Taylor? They try to put him back there. Keyshawn Williams, maybe he's smaller, probably more of a punt return guy. But I don't know if Evan Hull will be at rookie camp. I think probably not. There are rules about how many like games you can. He's played 2 games over 2 years. There's rules about how many games you can have played to still be at rookie camp. I don't remember. I think he's probably over the line, but like that's another place where I think. I mean, certainly Jonathan Ward can return kickoffs, and they've got Patterson and Warren and Gainwell. I think they're going to want Warren to return kicks though. So if you're looking at like filling out a 2 deep, Patterson, Gainwell, okay, fine. But like
Patterson doesn't make the roster. That's what I was going to say is like
right.
Yeah.
And it's very possible that neither Patterson or Ward would make the roster. Like that's not out of the question. So another whether that's Dante Kent, I don't know, but somebody else return some kicks, I think makes some sense here.
Absolutely. It's going to be interesting to see how that all plays out. Obviously, a lot of new bodies coming in via the draft. Speaking of the draft, the Steelers playoff odds unchanged following the draft. Sometimes you'll see shift in movement there if they feel like the team had a really good class. We'll see if like when and if the Aaron Rodgers things, how that could impact their playoff odds as well. But did it surprise you at all that there was no movement there? And like, how do those things typically work? Because I asked you, following the DK Metcalf trade, if there was any movement there. Apparently that's not like something that takes place then. That was obviously before free agency started and the Super Bowl odds shifted, but the playoff odds not out yet. So how does like that all work?
Yeah, so it's interesting. I think it's more like telling about what the books expected to happen, right? Like what the books expect to happen is already baked in. Like the Titans didn't get any bump from drafting Cam Ward because everyone already expected the Titans to draft Cam Ward. And so the Steelers playoff odds not moving kind of tells me they pretty much did what everyone was expecting them to do. They did go up a little bit, like 6 points, like nothing significant.
Okay.
But, I think that should tell you that they didn't move, but they moved up a slot. I think they went from the 9th best to the 8th best or something like that. The Broncos fell past them, even though their odds didn't change. So, but yeah, I mean, I think each of the last 2 years we saw the Steelers get a bump coming out of the draft, having done quote unquote better than expected. And I think this year's draft is much more in line with expectations.
Okay. That makes sense. I mean, especially given, the amount of ammo that they had within the draft. I don't know. But I feel like they did really well given the picks that they had. But obviously they had limited resources within the draft. So I can understand that for sure. So you're not surprised by that.
Is probably a better running back than they should have anticipated getting without having to make some kind of trade.
Yeah, I was kind of on the same board with you when we got to Friday, where it was like, I think you were saying Dylan Samson, and I was like, yeah, that's probably like the quality of back that will be available on the board to them when they get there.
Yeah. And so I think Caleb Johnson's better. So I think they did a little bit better than expectations there. It's one of the reasons I gave him a B. I think they got Will Howard after we expected them to get him, which meant that they got better players at the edge and on nose tackle and Black and Sawyer. So yeah, I think if they had found Robert Woods, not a very needle moving wide receiver at this stage of his career. We had a comment, I think it was from Ben Watson, how said is comparing Woods to Skoranek, and while like the difference between Woods and Skoranek is that Woods can run a route, but like there's not a whole lot of difference there. No, there really isn't. I mean, you're not in terms of like what production you're expecting, probably not much.
Yeah. I think the one I think it was on here that I highlighted it though. Like, what did he? I think like 52% of his catches last year were for first downs. So, I guess reliable enough. We'll see if he's even on the field, how often he is in third down and medium or third down and long situations. But he was still able to be a chain mover last year in Houston in a very limited role. But yeah, I'm not expecting much. But also, thankfully, unlike Van Jefferson and Allen Robinson, the two past seasons, because of the addition of DK Metcalf, should be taking on a lesser role too. So shouldn't be asked to do as much within this offense. Running the ship for this offense, well, I should say team, still Mike Tomlin, longest tenured now coach in North American sports, with Greg Popovich, San Antonio Spurs coach, stepping down. I feel like that happened over the last week, obviously, since we recorded. And I feel like, obviously, we got to bring that up on here because it's still so crazy to me. Like, I remember sitting there kind of just getting into my Steelers fandom because I've been watching or listening to the show for a long time. I didn't grow like my younger years. I actually used to root against the Steelers just to piss my dad off. So Mike Tomlin, like, second or third season that when he became the head coach was like my second or third season becoming a Steelers fan. It's just crazy to me how fast time goes and that we're sitting here and he's now the longest tenured head coach in North American sports.
Yeah, I think he's got to be the youngest guy to ever have that title, right? I mean, like it's just, I mean, when's the last time that number was under 20 seasons? I feel like it's always been 20 plus seasons where the person that had that title was. So like Pop is 76. Tomlin's like 50. I mean, that's like there's 53. Just turned 53 in March. But like he could do this another 20 years. Like that's the real crazy part about it, is that there's really nothing stopping him from like the NFL record is 29 years. That's like, it's not crazy to talk about Mike Tomlin setting it.
Yeah. I mean, you say it's not crazy. It is kind of crazy for me to think about. Like, I can't imagine him not being the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, but at the same time, how many seasons is that from now? How many did you say?
It'd be 10 years, 10 more years.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
he would be retiring at 63 at that point. That's like a perfectly normal retirement age, and he will have broken the NFL.
Hey, if they hit on a franchise quarterback, and that's like how long that career lasts.
Like, okay, yeah. Well, let's say they go out and draft pick a quarterback in the 26th class. I don't know.
Well, Garrett Nussmeier, the most recent mock drafted one, right? So,
all right. Let's say Nuss goes out and becomes Joe Burrow. Wouldn't you think you'd want to coach for more than 10 more years at that point? Like why are you cutting off at 10?
Ride this thing as long as the Nuss bus can take us for the ride. Yeah.
the one thing I would say is if he wins another Super Bowl in there, I could see him stepping down. But man, like, I don't know.
Do you think that he'll be somebody that just steps away completely? Do you think he'd want to transition to a different role? I can't see him doing anything besides coaching personally. But
I think he would be phenomenal at television, but I don't think he will want to do it.
Yeah. I agree.
I think he will really strongly resist television. I think he will want to keep coaching. I don't know what he will do, but I think he will want to keep coaching or still working. We talked about this in the Senior Bowl. I could see like a quasi promotion, like, I don't know, president of football operations kind of role for him.
Okay.
I could see that. Let him like go to the Senior Bowl and meet with draft picks, and he loves football too much to do. I don't know what he would do. Like, I don't know what he would do. He strikes me as a lifer.
Yeah. Obviously, I think he's an excellent head coach, but I think what makes him an excellent head coach is really his ability to build relationships and like the understanding of people in the way that he's adapted from how those players came into the league back when he started coaching to now and seamlessly transition to still be able to handle them and those personalities and the way that kids come into the league now, which I don't think you have to be in a coaching role to do. So, yeah, I mean, as you were kind of saying that, all of a sudden, I just said I couldn't picture him not coaching, but the way that you just kind of laid that out, him still having a role in the organization and him still being able to interact with them and build relationships with these players. I mean, I could absolutely see that. I don't know what that looks like or what exactly.
You know what Bruce Arians did with the Bucks, right? Or at least was like supposed to be doing with the Bucks. I don't really know how much he's followed through with that plan. He's also much older though. Like, I think BA actually wants to retire. I don't even think in another 10 years would you see Mike Tomlin wanting to just like go to the beach. I don't know. He doesn't strike me as a beach guy. He does not strike me as a beach guy.
Yeah, I really think he wants to do this coaching thing until the wheels fall off.
Yeah, I agree.
So we'll see. Yeah, at least
what do you make of the idea of like longevity in coaching? Like, you talked about how like 20 years, the longest not being 20 years is new. When you go down that list, it's honestly even crazier than that when you go down the list and it's like, yeah, Tomlin, okay, he's had that job for a while. He's been in Pittsburgh for, John Harbaugh right behind him, Andy Reid. Honestly, I was a little surprised that like Andy Reid was that high in Kansas City. Obviously, he's been in the NFL a very long time, but for him to be that high in Kansas City. But when you look at if you look at the top 10 of all North American sports coaches, like the bottom of that top 10 was hired in 2016. Like, it's not after Tomlin and Harbaugh and Reid, it's Shanahan and McVay are next in the NFL. I think we've significantly overcorrected in terms of the average length of tenure of head coaches and what makes sense for a franchise. Like, that can't be a good idea. That there are 3 coaches in the entire NFL that have been in their job longer than 10 years. Like that, that can't be good process.
Kevin Cash and Dave Roberts' longest tenure in baseball, and they're 2014, 2015.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy. I mean, I don't know what it is. I've always felt like, for whatever reason, the NHL, like, those coaches they have the shortest shelf lives. Like, you need a new voice seemingly for whatever reason sooner. And I'm not sure, like I said, I really don't know what the reason for that would be, if you have an idea on that. But it is an interesting point, and the word that you use there, overcorrection, maybe it is. I don't know if it's just like, a shorter leash, like less willingness to sit around and wait almost. We've talked about this conversation when it comes to high pick quarterbacks playing right away and having less of a leash with them. Maybe it's I don't know how I'm trying to apply this analogy here, but also the same thing with coaches where there's like no leash or very short leash as well, when maybe there should be a longer one.
I think a big part of it is you have transitioned almost entirely from owners with significant stakes in the history of their franchise and their team to just a bunch of random rich guys from wherever. And there are very few family-run teams.
Yeah.
Very few teams that are handed down through families. There's a lot of teams, a lot of owners out there that they buy an NFL team. It's not baseball. You can't spend whatever you want to spend. You have to, it's not easy to just dump money into a team and say, I want to win. These are guys that are highly successful in other fields, and they're not used to losing. And I think you just see them lash out in frustration and trying to do something to correct a problem. And I think that's how you end up with owners like Jimmy Haslam. I think that's how you end up with situations like the Cleveland Browns, who have gone through more head coaches in the last 5 years than this in the last 10 years than the Steelers have in their entire franchise history. Like, there's only so much a rich, frustrated owner can do. Firing the coach is one of those things, but like, where's the evidence that that's a good idea or that works? Like, I think it's just an emotional action more often than not.
So do you think it's an attempt to circumvent or speed up the process, or is it literally just not knowing the way that it should go because they're so far removed from what should be happening?
Well, like, it's, if you have a good coach who is losing, you should not fire him because he's a good coach. And if you have a bad coach who is losing, you should fire him because he's a bad coach. But that would require an amount of football experience and knowledge that I don't think a lot of these owners have. For better or for worse, whatever you think of Art Rooney was a ball boy on the Steelers in the 70s when they won the Super Bowl. He was basically running the ship when the Steelers won 2 Super Bowls in the 2000s, and while his father was ambassador before he took over. The man had a lifetime of football experience before he became the team's primary owner. Jimmy Haslam barely knew which end the laces were. Like, I mean, it just, like, it's night and day. And so I think these people, they don't have the knowledge to be decision makers in the way that they want to be decision makers. And I think that's why you end up with a bunch of bad coaching decisions over and over again. Look at the Panthers and David Tepper. That's a perfect example. David Tepper is brilliant, but he can't figure this out. How is that this hard?
Yeah, that's why. I mean, there's obviously owners that come from football background, as you said, and for those people to be hands-on, that's fine. But my belief largely is, hey, like the best people in this are ones that understand that they're not, somebody that should be as hands-on. They'll provide the money, build out the people that should be making those decisions, and let them do their thing.
And I think the pressure, like, one of the things that people talk about all the time about the Steelers is like, Mike Tomlin knows he'll never get fired. And like, yes, Mike Tomlin knows he'll never get fired. That is a big advantage to the Steelers and Mike Tomlin. Coaches who are coaching for their job do dumb and bad things. Like, what are the New York Giants doing right now? Like, they have a coach and a general manager who are hanging on to their roles by like a shirt string. Do we really think that is what is going to be the best? Like, do you think they're coaching and they're managing for the future of the New York Giants, or do you think they're coaching and managing to try to save their jobs? And which of those two things is better for the New York Giants? Like, it just doesn't.
Yeah.
Like, if you ever get to a point publicly where you're dangling someone's job like that, like, shit ended it 2 years ago. And I think those guys certainly have done more than enough to deserve to be fired if they want them to be. But you either got to be all out or all in. And I think, this process where, this sort of dog eat dog, if you don't get results, we're going to fire you. I don't see a lot of teams winning that way. I don't. Certainly it's possible, but, the hiring process of NFL. The other thing is, I think, is the the hiring process of NFL head coaches has not gotten better. Like the teams are still completely striking out at a very high rate when they try to pick the next biggest and brightest offensive coordinator or, try to pluck a hotshot college coach or whatever. Like those guys are still washing out epically all the time. And I think the value of stability has just been completely thrown away.
Why, real quick, why do you think that is in terms of like the process not getting better and them not identifying the right people?
I think there is an idea where people want the next big thing more than they want proven performance. And so, like, a lot of these guys are being hired as head coaches who have never had the job before. And their first job as a head coach in their entire life, they never have been a head coach of a Pop Warner team. They are in the NFL. And they're going to be bad at it at first. They're going to be because they've never done it before. And there is not I think one of the reasons you see a lot of second job head coaches having success in the NFL now, which used to never be a thing, is because like these guys need longer to learn how to do the job, but they're not being given it on the first crack. And nobody wants to hire the experienced coach. They want to hire the next big thing. Like Bill Belichick should not be in college football right now. Bill Belichick might be a jerk. You may not like him, but he's a better coach than basically everyone that was hired this offseason. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
You gotta hire Aaron Glenn instead because he was the hotshot coordinator. Like,
yeah, we'll see how Ben Johnson works out in Chicago as well. I think that's a very interesting one for me, just because I don't know, I'm just of the mindset when it's all said and done, he's gonna end up being a better coordinator than head coach. We'll see if it plays out that way. But
lots
good
of those
stuff,
guys
as
too.
always.
Lots of those guys too. Arthur Smith, I think, is one of
them. Anyways, until tomorrow, Alan, tell the people they can find you.
Saunders_PGH on X, Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky. PGH Steelers Now is the site's account. SteelersNow.com. Go there, read the words so that I can get paid. Sign up for SN Plus, and you get ad-free words. You get to help us do awesome stuff like cover rookie camp and all the other things we cover for you guys. And you'll occasionally get some cool perks like members only live stream and that kind of stuff. So go sign up for that. And you can like, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications here on the YouTube channel. That's free and helps us out a lot as well. And I feel like we've been at this number a lot, 15,600 and T gray scales. That's deep into my bag there. 15,006. Oh no, it just jumped. Did it just jump for you?
Oh, I was gonna say when I went to the page, it's at Troy. I don't know another. No. I don't know another 43 to be honest. I don't think.
Well, there was that guy who showed up to training camp wearing 43. That's gonna be my pick. That guy.
Yeah, him or
Ernest Jackson. Ernest Jackson from the 80s, running back was. I think he was 43.
Okay. I'm going to go with Josh Banks from Twitter. That's number 43.
There you go.
Anyways, like Alan said, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Also hit us in the comments with your thoughts on anything that we talked about today, a question for a future episode, all that good stuff as we work our way through here. But I keep saying as we work our way through the offseason, rookie camp coming up on Friday. Very excited to see what comes of that and those conversations. So be on the lookout for that. And if you're listening somewhere else, Apple, Spotify, wherever your podcast from, be sure to leave a 5-star review. Subscribe over there. It's been a while since I got to read one of those on here. So go do that, please. If you're over on one of those platforms, or if you have one of those platforms, you'll do it. Even if you typically watch on YouTube, just go head over there and leave us a review over there. Other than that, also hit us up on TikTok, Steelers Afternoon Drive as well. And then you'll find me everywhere, Zachary Smith, PGH. For Alan Saunders and myself, thanks for jumping in. Take another ride on the Steelers Afternoon Drive.